My name is Jim Crook. I've practiced law for 35 years, uh, written 5 books on geopolitical issues and a couple of hundred essays. And I'd like to talk to you today about the coming election next Tuesday, why I'm concerned about it, enough to be making this video right now. I have a message that if you are a patriotic American, that you really need to hear. I am a patriotic American, and I'm concerned about our country and what is happening to our tradition and the America that used to be. And this message is in support of the United States, what it used to stand for, our ideals, our convictions, and our ethos. And the fact that I believe the America that used to be, for all of us, is slipping away rapidly. And if we don't resist the direction it's currently going in, it's not going to be an America that we recognize anymore. So for that reason, I'm delivering this essay to you. It's a hard-hitting essay. It may be proved to be insensitive or offend some people's sensibilities. But when the issues are hard and the future of your country or the country that we used to be is at stake, we can't always defer to polite languages and words to get our message across. Anyway, here's what I would like to say to you. The colloquialism for prostitute is whore. The Republican Party probably doesn't have too much justification, in my opinion, to exist anymore, as it no longer represents the American people or the American ethos, our ideals or traditions, in my opinion. It has become a Republican Party of prostitutes, and the colloquialism again is whores. The Republican Party has sold out to big business for instant wealth bribes in the millions of dollars received from corporate lobbyists, and have converted America, our America, into a government of corporations instead of a government of the people. Treason indeed. This is not the reason we elected those people to represent us in our representative government. This is the Republican Party that blocked cheap drugs from Germany, Canada, and Mexico, especially needed by the elderly, when many of our elderly with insufficient funds from Social Security have been documented as eating dog food to preserve the little funds they have for necessary life-preserving drugs, so Big Pharma could maximize its profits. This is the same Republican Party that has insisted that America's minimum wage remain at $7.25, which has remained the same sum since 1980s, when China today has a minimum wage of between $15 and $38 an hour, and American business on its own, without help from our Congress, has raised minimum wages to around $15 per hour. This is the same Republican Party that accounts for the crushingly unjust taxation laws that gives 2% of the American population 98% of America's wealth, leaving 98 of the American population with 2% of the nation's wealth, when in all fairness and in all justice, 2% of the American wealth should be going to 2% of the people, and 98% of the American wealth should be going to 98% of the American population. Absolutely outrageous. Absolutely outrageous, unjust, and incredible. 98% of America's wealth, which with fair taxing laws should go to 98% of the people, but has been stolen from the people by the treasonous Republican Party whores, and the whores they are. Whore is someone who sells themselves. They have sold themselves and their vote to corporate America. And they've given 2% of the nation's wealthy, of course, a big payoff, receiving 98% of the nation's wealth, which belongs to us, 98% of the people. A legislature is nothing more, ladies and gentlemen, than a vote. Once a congressperson sells their vote to big corporations become the government and vote in any economically disemboweling law they choose to maximize corporate profits by disenfranchising the general population. It is the reason why America now incredibly has 3 individuals bordering on becoming trillionaires, when national news documents show people living in $14 Walmart pup tents on city sidewalks in America and calling that home. In essence, the Republican Party, only loyal and patriotic to instant wealth corporate bribes, and their bank account is no longer American and has been reduced to a party of unprincipled whores, someone who sells himself, no longer having any justification to being in existence, in my opinion. They are un-American. This Republican Party of big business has economically raped the general American population for reasons of personal wealth only, with a little interest in economic justice, patriotism, or America's tradition of individual personal freedoms and liberties in our land of the free, deferring instead to police power and a happily evolving fascist police state within America, as fully certified by the recent police community's public murder of George Floyd before the eyes of the world. This is the same Republican Party whose president, George W. Bush, declared the United States Constitution just a goddamn piece of paper, quote, unquote. To wake up all patriotic, freedom-loving Americans as yourself as to the rapid evolution of the United States into a fascist government. Factual data now shows, listen to this, that 60 million Americans, an ocean of people and a population larger than most countries, now have 60 million Americans with felony records who are undergoing an illegal social persecution because of that criminal record, ungrounded in any legislated law, which persecution deprives them of most of their inalienable rights inherent under American law after they have fully repaid their debt to society, owe nothing further, and should have been rehabilitated and returned to mainstream American society with dignity, entitled to every constitutional right that they never lost, period. Human beings don't lose their dignity, no matter what happens. It may be crushed and damaged and harmed by others, but it inherently remains forever intact. These people with these records now are still existing real human beings and Americans who made a mistake, paid their debt to society, and do not deserve, in all fairness and justice, to be persecuted However, the Republican Party is super enamored with this law and order thing. You know, absolute law and order, by the way, is slavery. So there must be an acceptable balance that allows human freedom and liberties, which is one of the basic ethos for which America stands for. This is the law and order Hitler-type fascist state that Republican Party congressmen are so enamored and proud of, which is absolutely anti-American. We are Statue of Liberty. We seek freedom, and we seek liberties for all. Freedom and justice for all. I believe that's what our Declaration of Independence says, and that's who we are and what we stand for, not a law and order police state. Hitler was a law and order police state. Vladimir Putin is a law and order police state, hauling his very citizens off the street outrageously in front of God and the world, who object to whatever Putin and the Russian government is doing. Don't see any freedom there. America has always been the beacon of freedom for the world, the free world, and that is the America that I seek to retain. These greedy, wealth-seeking Republican Party congresspersons from big corporations do not deserve, in my opinion, to represent the American people any longer. And this entire corrupt party should be washed out of the U.S. Congress and replaced by new candidates patriotic to the American way of life and our ideals of equal justice and equal opportunity, which is the United States being the land of the free, with an emphasis on maximum individual liberties instead of prosecuting and convicting an ocean of 60 million Americans for crimes they were probably forced to commit due to economic injustice and American employers unwilling to hire anyone with a criminal record, leaving them with no way to feed their families. Ironically, the myopic sociologists of America and the American government has shot itself in the foot, as the government is the one creating the crimes by forcing people into employment, the only available employment, usually druggies, willing to provide them income to support and feed their children. A mother will steal bread to feed her starving daughter. Passing laws sealing all criminal records from the public would put 60 million people back to work, but the Republican Party is too interested in law and order and perfection from the general public, and also in pursuing persecution of anyone who has ever broken a law, to such an extent that they have removed all hope and second chances from these 60 million people who happen to be our brothers and sisters, fathers and uncles, and very much American citizens, imperfect like the rest of us who just made a mistake, but fully repaid for that mistake, owed nobody anything. The metaphor is this: it's like going into a restaurant and paying your bill, but then they won't let you leave the restaurant until you've repaid the bill 1,000 times more. Period. Where's the justice there? There is no justice there. There is injustice there, and there is persecution, social persecution, which now has left these 60 million people in a growing American Hitler-type law and order police state with no second chances or hope for their future or their children. These people are still entitled to all of their rights under citizenship. They never lost their rights. And also the rights under the U.S. Constitution, but are being denied them illegally by our fascist law and order government, heavily pursued and a fascist direction by the Republican Party. A crushing injustice indeed, fully by these hypocritical horrors, obsessed with law and order. If you're a slave, the government has perfect law and order. I think liberty and the concept of liberty and freedom must have slipped through the cracks. They probably haven't gotten out to the Statue of Liberty lately and read what it says on it. Again, visions of George Floyd. The Republican Party no longer smells American, ladies and gentlemen. These sellout corporate congressional whores, interested only in their instant wealth, corporate bribes, and personal wealth, do not represent the interest of the American public as confirmed by brutally unfair taxing laws favoring corporations that rob the general American population of 98% of the nation's wealth. That 98% should be going to us, the people. For these reasons, the treasonous Republican Party congresspersons, in my opinion, should be swept out of office and possibly replaced by a new party, possibly called the Progressive Party, the new Progressive Party, willing to wrench the American government out of the hands of corporate America, courtesy of the treasonous Republican Party, sellout whores, and returned the American government to Americans as once again a government of the people. The government belongs to us. We are the government, not corporations, not big pharma. Not the sellout Republican Party who voted against cheap drugs from Canada, Germany, and Mexico so the elderly could still live a few more years. How brutal, how cruel, and how insensitive. And then again, calling several of our citizens now calling $14 Walmart pup tents on city sidewalks home. No. This is not America and not the America this author wants to live in, due to corporations disemboweling the American public by owning the American government. Sold to them for the right price, of course, right bribe by the Republican Party. It's time for patriotic Americans to rise up, ladies and gentlemen, and to resist economic injustices by installing fair taxing laws from non-corrupt congresspersons that will distribute 98% of the nation's wealth to 98% of the people, instead of 98% of the nation's wealth going to 2% of the people. Sellout Republican Party taxing laws only benefit corporate America, are unpatriotic, not in the interest of the people, and are un-American, and do not represent what America stands for. Equal justice for all, including economic justice, and equal opportunities for all. If you reduce the income to the average member of America's general population enough, you may border on economic slavery. The equal justice for all, including equal justice and equal opportunities, is what America started out as and should still be. It's time to wash these greedy, treasonous Republican Party whores who have sold out America, and to take America back and return it to the people where it belongs, in which case each American can expect to be treated equally and assume that 98% of their tax dollars will go to 98% of the people and not corporate America, courtesy of the Republican Party congressional whores. Of course, for the right instant wealth, corporate bribe to the congressperson sufficient enough for these prostitutes to sell out America. This author believes that it is the duty of every patriotic American who still fully believes in the ethos, principles, and ideals which early America has always stood for, which includes justice for all and economic justice to more than just 2% of the people, but 98% of the American population, and equal opportunities also for everyone. The Republican Party is no longer American, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion. has become treasonous to the economic interest of every American and is an enemy of personal freedoms and individual liberties of each citizen, as confirmed by the Republican Party's over-obsession with law and order, which has left American prisons overflowing, having almost 3 times now the number of inmates in prison than any other nation on earth, and left America and its population with 60 million citizens now astoundingly with felony records due to glutted penal codes, making everything imaginable a crime. They're euphoric with this. They love more criminal laws. They love prosecution. They love conviction. They love people in prison. Hitler's fascism also represented law and order. Again, slavery represents law and order. The Trumpster sellout Republican Party is now an abomination to the American tradition and everything America stands for. This Republican Party has allowed America to be abducted by corporate America. These congressional treasonous leeches and lowlifes, now representing an American aristocracy, no longer deserve to occupy positions within the United States Congress and need to be voted out of office 100% so the American population can Lysol clean out the stench in our United States Congress of these sellout Republican Party whores, and whores they are, with no apologies to that statement. When you go to the election polls next Thursday, ladies and gentlemen, decide what America you want. As citizens who own this great country, not corporations. Whether you want economic justice with 98% of the nation's wealth going to 98% of the people, or do you just 2% to the people with 98% going to 2% of the rich. You need to decide whether you want to live in a Hitler-type police state which arrogantly murders people like George Floyd publicly, defying any American to do anything about it as Mr. Floyd slowly died. To decide whether you want an America that prosecutes people obsessively, unbelievably leaving 60 million Americans with felony records, and then unjustly socially persecuting them long after they have fully repaid their debt to society, owe nothing, and deserved to have been fully rehabilitated as valuable human beings with dignity restored and returned to mainstream society as tax-paying citizens, but were intentionally not allowed that. You need to decide whether you want a nation of equal justice, including equal economic justice, with equal rights under the law that allows Americans once again to believe that we will inherit equal shares of the full richness of this nation, including maximum personal freedoms and equal opportunities, including economic opportunities for all. Or do you want the Republican Party to continue giving 98% of the nation's wealth to 2% of the greedy rich, depriving the general population of their real 98% share of the nation's wealth that they should be receiving, stolen from them by the Republican Party sellout horrors, of course for the right price, to corporate America? You need to decide whether you want America to keep creating felons by obsessive criminal prosecutions on crimes and fantasy crimes the nation continues to create, resulting from glutted penal codes, making everything imaginable, from sneezing to blowing one's nose in public, a criminal offense. Hence the obsessive police state mindset of the zealous American prosecutors. Isn't that what Hitler was? Obsessive criminal prosecutions are tantamount to a police state, ladies and gentlemen. That's fascism. Do you want America to continue evolving into a fascist police state, an all-out law and order state, or the maximum of individual liberties and freedoms for all? Or do you want America to remain true to its ethos, original ethos, beliefs, ideals, and traditions of being the land of the free, with maximum individual liberties only limited by necessary laws to ensure acceptable human behavior? With no apologies, the question is, do you want America to keep getting screwed by the treasonous Republican Party whores who have sold out to corporate America? Or do you, as American patriots, want to end this treasonous economic injustice and bring to a halt the rapidly evolving Hitler-type police state in America? Not fascism with 60 million Americans with felony records and 1 in 3 blacks destined for prison? No? Sounds like fascism to me. We can change all this, ladies and gentlemen, in the election polls next Tuesday, the midterm elections, which is our opportunity as Americans in an event where power is absolutely returned to you and I, the people. Let's go to the polls this next Tuesday and take America back by voting out of office all the treasonous Republican Party horrors who have sold out America to big business and are obsessed with law and order Hitler-type fascism, which makes that party an enemy of every American citizen's freedom. Don't forget George Floyd, and don't forget the elderly who are now documented as eating dog food to preserve what little funds they have to buy high-priced big pharma life-preserving drugs. God bless the United States of America. God bless the America we used to be. And God bless every true patriotic American now willing to fight for the United States that we used to be, and willing to rescue our government from corporate America, sold to them by the sellout treasonous Republican Party, of course for the right amount of money. Like the United States Marine Corps says, let's get after this. Hoorah! Let's get our government back, guys. What do you say? We are Americans, and this is our government, and not the government of corporate America or the Republican Party. Let's wash every one of these Republican Party horrors out of office and get our country back. Be sure to vote next Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. And God bless America. Let's get it back. Yes, this is still America, and it still belongs to us, the people. USA, USA, USA. All the way. God bless you and good luck.